You're listening to The Sizzle on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
You know what it is. You know who it is. It's The Sizzle here on Iron Skillet Radio, Iron Skillet Television. We are the talk of the 219. We are the hottest sports talk in the 219. You know who's in the building. G Sizzle, and he is Jay Sizzle. What's going on, Jay?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm having a wonderful day, man. I'd love to see all of our great Chicago teams are playing so great, man. You know, we're going to look good in the Major League Baseball playoffs. I think it's going to just be fantastic. You know, that win today, it was just great. This Chicago sports team, man, this is Titletown, USA right here.
Okay. You do realize that was probably last week.
Oh.
Yeah.
We didn't win this weekend?
Oh, buddy. No, not only did we not win, it was a horrific week for Chicago sports. So if you're ready, let's get into it.
Let's go.
All right, Jay. So let's talk about today's game, the massacre in the Windy City. I can't say it was really a massacre. It was more like the snooze fest at the Dome.
You know what's really weird about this game? You just never thought the Bears were in it. You know what I'm saying? You just never, at any point in time, even if they were only 10 points down. I mean, it wasn't like they got slaughtered. It wasn't like there was a 40-point shellacking. That's coming next week. But it wasn't a major beatdown going on here. But even with being only 10 points down, you just never thought this team was going to make a run. And somehow they were going to pull this game out. It just seemed like there was no way they were going to do it.
You know, it's funny because now everyone's clamoring. You see it on social media. Everyone's saying, hey, man, now it's time. You know what? We need to try something new. Let's put Mitch back in. No, my friend. No. We're on this ship, and you're going to ride it out. And you're going to see it through. Because Nick Foles, which is 10-1, is now your quarterback. So let's talk about Nick Foles. In fact, Jay, if you don't mind, I'll play you a little snippet of Nick Foles, and maybe you can tell the listeners after what you hear what's going on.
On with Nick Foles the entire day. Up the blitz.
To the end zone. Going up, gripping the football for the touchdown is Robinson.
That is a great throw by Nick Foles.
Okay, so a great throw by Nick Foles. All right, that was his only touchdown.
Yeah.
That was probably the best throw of the day. Yeah, it was about the best throw of the day. So, Jay, explain to me what's going on with Nick Foles in this offense as we saw an offense stuck in neutral all game.
You know, he was like 26 for 42, I think, for 249 or something like that. So he didn't have a bad day really statistically. The problem was that he's throwing the ball 42 times. That's number one. The second thing is that this offensive line is offensive. You know what I'm saying? It's just absolutely offensive. At some point in time, somebody has to put a hat on somebody and block somebody. I'm still not understanding how we have these offensive tackles in the league that cannot get their pad level low enough to get in front of somebody and block somebody. I haven't figured this out yet. We know that Leno is an average offensive tackle in the league. We know that. That's the reason why he's been playing on that side of the line for all of these years. But the problem is right now that this offensive line is just not good enough to protect Nick Foles, and it's just not good enough to open up holes for running backs right now. This was a good coach defense. This is one of the best defenses in the league right now, and it just showed you why it was one of the best because they dominated all across the line on both sides today. So it was just one of those situations that a really good offensive line went up against a bad playing defensive line on the Bears side. And on the offensive side, the offense never got rolling at any point in time. The coach could have been up one, and it wouldn't have mattered. It didn't look like they were going to be able to close.
Yeah, this game was horrific in all of its glory. The saddest part is when you see a David Robinson, you see your number one running back rush for 10 times? He was 10 times, and he only got 27 yards. And I don't even know if anybody else got anything more than about 10 yards.
Yeah. Montgomery, you got to. He's a slasher. He's not a banger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
David
saying?
Montgomery, he slashes in, but for the first time, I think I saw what was wrong. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can tell me. When I saw Montgomery hit the holes,
Yeah.
I saw that there were no holes to hit. I saw that he kept going, but it was nowhere to go. I mean, literally every time the ball was snapped, the defense was in the backfield. Am I wrong in my observation?
You're absolutely right. I know I was watching some game film, coach's tape, and we really were watching your tackles literally getting beat inside on run plays. Literally going up to the second level and missing linebackers, going up to the second level and running right past them. I mean, not putting the hat. The one thing that makes an offensive line good is that you have these 330-pound guys up there, but they're all moving like the Rockettes. They're all stepping at the same time. Their hats are all at the same level. They're meshing their shoulders together when they're going up and exchanging people from one person to the other one so they can get to the next level. All you saw was guys firing off the ball at different speeds. You saw that there were gaps in there. And right now, they never built a wall up in front of these guys. And if you don't do that in the NFL, these guys will not have an opportunity to run the football. I don't care who you put in the backfield right now with the Chicago Bears. You're not going to get a team right here that's going to scare anybody rushing the football. And so, therefore, you're definitely not going to scare anybody throwing the football.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Let's go to Matt Nagy. Let's just talk about some things as far as X's and O's are concerned. So let's get ready to do it. We'll talk about Matt Nagy. I don't know what you can do. I don't know what is possible now. You've changed your quarterback quarter of the way in. You've tried to install your offense, and we just talked about it. You have a bad offensive line, which doesn't give you the ability to do a lot of the run plays, the stunts, the things that you want to do, you can't do. So what does a Matt Nagy do, Jay, to get ready for Tampa Bay that's coming in, for other teams that are going to come in, the Rams? What do you do to get this offense righted from where they are right now?
Well, what they need to do first thing is take off this Halloween costume that they're a 3-1 football team. This is a 1-3 football team. This is what they are. And they played like that today. What Matt Nagy needs to do at this point, again, is dumb down this offense and get this running game going. They need to let these guys go and try to maul up front. These are all NFL caliber football players. These are all great athletes sitting up front. Let's not get too fancy with what's going on. Let's put a hat on a hat and let's move the football. If you have to go in a situation to put a fullback in the backfield, and let's go and bang the ball up in here, and let's get some running going on, because this is what needs to happen. You got to get guys coming down playing 7-8 men in the box to stop your run. Now you're going to open up. Now you're going to open up down the field. Now you're going to get some one-on-one matches. We understand Nick Foles is a good enough quarterback to hit these guys, but all of his scheme right now. I really believe his scheme. You got to let these guys eat. But the problem is you have a coach in the NFL who won't play to what his team can do. He did the same thing with Mitchell Trubisky. He tried to make Mitchell Trubisky what he was not. And now you try to make this offensive line to what they are not. And this is not a pass-blocking offensive line.
So is this all based on run blocking? Is this whole offense, should it be predicated on running the ball first and then passing out of the run? Should the run set up the pass?
Yeah, you got to be good at something. Right now, the Bears' offensive line is bad at everything right now. I mean, I can't tell you anybody across that line right now that's going to be an all-pro. I can't tell you anybody across that line right now that you're going to say, hey, they had a great game today. Like you see a couple times the guards and them, they double team on the inside, they look good on the inside, but then you see breakdowns on the outside. You see breakdowns for the tackle position. So what you're looking at right now is an offensive line that's in, for lack, tatters. They're in tatters. And they went up against the offensive line today, we saw with the Colts. These guys have played 20 solid football games together without a change in that lineup. These guys know exactly what each other are going to do. They know the calls without saying the calls. That made a huge difference. And you saw what the Colts were able to do against a pretty good Bears defense.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so you've had two tackles that have been there. Your left and your right tackle have been there now for years. They've been your stalwarts there. Massey and Leno have been there through multiple quarterbacks, if I'm Did they go back to Jay Cutler?
Leno's been around a while. I know
Okay.
Leno's been around a while. But again, not taking any away from these. These guys are fantastic athletes. Let me tell you, not taking away any of these guys. They're fantastic athletes. But it's statistically speaking, Leno is an average NFL tackle. Average NFL tackle. You need a great left tackle for this to work. You need somebody on there. You need an all-pro on there. Somebody on there who's going to anchor that left side so that your right-handed quarterbacks can stand tall in the pocket and get the ball out. You do at least have an NFL caliber quarterback right now who can read the field. Now, we have to understand that Nick Foles is what Nick Foles is. You know what I'm saying? So he's not a guy who's going to come in. I think as a starter, I think he was like 5-12 as a starter or something like that. So is he going to set the world on fire? We don't know, but he's better than what we had in there.
Okay, so that is a question when it comes to what's going on with Matt Nagy. Did he make the right decision to move from Mitchell Trubisky and put in Nick Foles?
No, he made the wrong decision. You know where he made the wrong decision at? When he didn't go get Cam Newton. When he didn't go get a number of other people that he could have got. That's where he made the wrong decision. When he didn't sit down Mitchell Trubisky last year. When they didn't draft a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? When you don't draft a quarterback because you're too afraid that Mitchell Trubisky's feelings are going to get hurt. Well, Mitchell's feelings are hurt now. What difference does it make? I don't understand that move. Matt Nagy knew from year 2 that Mitchell Trubisky could not play quarterback in the NFL, at least in his offense. He's a great athlete. He knew that. He tried to dumb down the playbook. Didn't happen. Now all of a sudden you go in here. Well, you should have gave the starting job to Nick Foles coming out of camp. You didn't do that because you held on for a little while longer because, again, you didn't want to hurt Mitch's feelings. And now what do you have? You have a Nick Foles who's not in the same timing with everybody. It's going to take him a while to get together with this team. You saw the same thing happen with Tom Brady. Everybody thought Tom Brady was done. Is Tom Brady done today? I don't know. We'll talk about that later on. So the whole thing about this,
really talk about that.
Yeah. So what's really going on today is that you see Nick Foles has to get on the same page as these guys. Nick Foles came back and won the game last year, but Nick Foles could have easily been picked off 3 times last week.
Right.
Easily been picked off 3 times. But he could also throw for 5 touchdowns last week. That's how the NFL. The NFL is a game of inches. We all know that any given Sunday. Who's going to fight for that last inch? We got to ask which offensive lineman out there is going to fight for that last inch, because you can give them a little inch more, give these guys opportunity to run the football. The Bears could have an opportunity to play well. I don't see that happening, though.
You're listening to The Sizzle on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
All right, Jay. So let's talk about TB12. Let's just go into it and talk about some of the things that are going to happen, because this is going to be a short week for the Bears. They've got to erase this game quickly from their mind, and then they've got to move forward and be ready for Tom Brady when he comes in on Thursday night. So how does Matt Nagy then put this together? We have a leaky offensive line. Tampa Bay doesn't have a great defense, but I think on par with what you saw today from the Colts. How does he do this? How does he bring this team back together? What's the first thing that he has to do to be victorious on Thursday night?
He needs to send the Tampa Bay Buccaneers bus to the United Center. That's what needs to happen first. And tell them they're playing indoors. That's their new place. They're going to play arena football and send them there and hope he can get a forfeit. That's what needs to happen. Because Tom Brady is just going to get better as the years go along. He lost O.J. Howard today. You saw Evans hobbling around on one foot. It didn't matter. He went and found a Rex Welker clone, a Julian Edelman clone, and this kid Miller, who's like 5'3" and 135 pounds, but he was running all over the field, catching the football everywhere. Tom Brady's he hit Gronk today on a couple of good throws. If they don't get if you don't see a Khalil Mack and you don't see the gentleman from the other side, Mr. Quinn, meeting at the quarterback on a regular basis, it's going to be a long day for the Chicago Bears.
So let's talk about that for a second. Long day. Let's talk about Khalil Mack. Let's talk about Robert Quinn. Let's talk about Hakeem Hicks. it seems like now defense is, I don't know, it's something out of sync. Even when we talk about Kyle Fuller, they've been picking up penalties. Last week, it was Akeem Hicks roughing the passer, multiple roughing the passes. Last week, Kyle Fuller, pass interference. I mean, serious pass interference. And this week, a new bugaboo creeped in, and that was terrible special teams play. So now you've got the confluence of terrible things going on all across the field. How do you rectify all of those issues in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, like 4 days?
Well, the issue is there's not going to be any practices. There ain't going to be no practice. It's going to be all scheme. The problem, I think you said, with the roughing the passer type penalties, a lot of these are just how they're written in the rule book. And so now you have a situation where guys, are going low on the quarterback, but how are you going to stop 300 pounds from falling into the quarterback? I mean, if you're running and diving at his legs, that's something different. But if you're coming and beating an offensive lineman trying to get there, that's another thing. I think the Bears had over 100 yards in penalties a day. You're not going to win football games like that. A lot of this right now is because the defensive line is not getting home. You're asking these quarterbacks to stay in coverage a lot longer. And Mr. Johnson over there, he's got quick feet, but I don't know if he really wants to be physical right now. I saw a couple of times where he could have came up and been physical, and he's not that guy. Maybe he's not that guy. Maybe if he's not that guy, though, he needs to go out here and be the best cover guy on his team right now. And he's not the best cover guy on his team right now. That's still Fuller. So he's got to figure out, he's going to come up and hit somebody, or he's going to go out there and cover somebody, because you can't be mediocre at both right now. And sometimes it's what you see with the young Mr. Johnson.
We talked about defense having its woes, but offense was having its woes too. So maybe Tariq Cohen not being there has exposed another element of this team and this whole scheme. But one of the things that I think social media has gotten tired of, and everybody's gotten tired of, is seeing Cordero Patterson run out of the backfield.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's really bad. Today, I think he got 5 more touches than Montgomery, and probably 20 less yards. It was bad. It was really bad. He's good as a returner, but
he's a gadget guy. I mean, he's a gadget guy. He's not a guy you can just feed him. He's not that runner. He's not that guy. I mean, he's got great speed, great size, but he's a long-legged runner. He runs up top. He can take a beating, but he's not that guy to just put the ball in his belly and like he's going to run people over. That ain't what's happening. I don't know why they continue to do that. Put him in the slot. Go get a real running back and put a running back there. I don't know why they keep doing it that way.
I don't know either, but he is a phenomenal return person.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about phenomenal return people, this week and heading into this week, we've had some chatter from a former Bear, a former number 23. And I don't mean Michael Jordan. I mean the ridiculous Devin Hester, the immortal Devin Hester. The Devin Hester that would race a bear and probably not win. I don't know why he thought he would win.
Race a bear.
I can remember that silly. It was a campaign like, is Devin Hester faster than the bear? I don't know, but he's not even the fastest bear on the team right now. So I don't know, what he would do. But okay, so I'm going to let you hear a little bit of this, and I'm going to get your opinion on it. This is Devin Hester's opinion of himself and his former quarterback, Jay Cutler, because he threw Jay completely under the bus.
My third year is when I redid a new contract and became the #1 receiver. That's the same year we brought in Jay Cutler. He's not really a sociable guy. He's not a talker, you know what I mean? He picks 1 or 2 guys and he just leashes on them and separates us from everybody. As a quarterback, like I tell him to this face today that, to me, my years in the NFL, I played 11 years. He's the best quarterback when it comes to accuracy, power, knowledge of the game. The best quarterback, hands down, I ever played with. Now, when it comes to a leadership, the worst.
So, I know Jay Cutler's your boy. I know that's your guy.
That's right.
So, Is it defensible? Does he have an argument to say that Jay Cutler was the worst quarterback that in 11 years he ever played for?
No, that's not what he said. What he said, Jay Cutler was the best quarterback he ever played for physically. He said he was the worst leader. So the question is, though, Devin Hester said he was a number one wide receiver. What year was this? When was this?
I don't know. I really don't, because I don't think the stats bear that out. Maybe he knows the better stats, but I don't think the stats bear that out.
I
But
mean,
maybe I'm wrong.
I think Cutler was here in 08, 09, somewhere around there. It was somewhere in there, right? So you look
Correct.
at Devin Hester, had 51 receptions. He had 91 targets for 665 yards. That's your number one receiver.
Number one.
And then the next year after that, 09, he went 57 receptions, another 91 targets for 757 yards. And those were his best years after that. The best years after that. He wasn't a 1,000-yard receiver, any of that. So
Was he ever a 1,000-yard receiver?
No, he was not. He only got 3,300 total yards receiving in his entire career.
11 years.
In 11 years. 255 catches. So the thing about it was, I'm not sure how we're looking at this and saying he was a number one receiver. I mean, I don't believe. Now, we have seen Jay Cutler throw the ball 21, 22, 23 times to the same wide receiver in a ball game. I know Devin Hester alluded to that at one point in time. Yeah, because he was protesting because he did not have NFL caliber wide receivers. If I remember, Devin Hester really didn't remember the offensive route tree, if I remember that correctly, because Devin Hester came into the league as a cornerback. He was not a wide receiver. They put him out there. He became great as a kick returner when they found out he could return kicks. Then they tried to take Devin Hester and put him on the offensive side of football, but Devin Hester didn't know a 9 route from a 2 route. You know what I'm saying? He didn't know a curl from a dig. So the question was at that point in time, I don't know how you are the number one wide receiver when your stats don't play out to say you are the number one wide receiver. So the thing about it is that I always believed Jay Cutler was misused here, abused here. He never had the offensive line out in front of him like he needed, and they never gave him the wide receiver talent that they needed. They missed an opportunity because Jay Cutler probably was the best physical quarterback that the Bears have ever had.
You're listening to The Sizzle, the talk of the 219, the hottest sports talk in the region, on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
You know, we're going to talk about it probably this week. I know it's not going to be probably. It'll be this week. We talked about players who've been in a place too long. And Chicago seems to be the repository of players that hung on a little bit too long. I think we talked about that a long time ago. And we always discuss how Devin Hester probably should have been moved. If you were going to get a first-round pick for him, you probably should have shipped him out then.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we're seeing with the Cubs. You had your opportunity, had that time, and now I don't know where you are with that time.
Right.
And it's going to be bad for the Bears if they can't shore up this line. But I tell you somebody who did shore up their line and somebody who was good today, amazingly, was the Miami Heat. So the Miami Heat said, you know what, G-Sizzle, I know they read my tweet because I tweeted out earlier, you know, this is beginning to look like a Miami sweep. I mean, like the Lakers are going to just come in here and just beat you with one of Anthony Davis's braids and just sweep you on out of here. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be horrific. And then Jimmy Butler came out of nowhere and he put on the Jimmy Buckets uniform and went to work and pulled out Game 4, which staved off certain death, I think, in my mind, from the Lakers. So today, did the Miami Heat do enough to get back into this series, Jay?
They did enough to get under LeBron James' skin when he walked off the court with 10, 15 seconds still left in the game, sashaying off like he thought they were supposed to run through him. Look, Miami Heat came out undermanned. You know, Tyler Hero came out and played really well. You know, they're short now. Bam is out of there. Dragan Gorgic is out of there. And now you had a bunch of role players coming in there who believing in Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler had to put on his Superman hat and had to go out and actually play like Jimmy Butler. And before I think he was doing a lot of deferring. And now he's going to have, if they're going to win this series, if they're going to tie up this series, then Jimmy Butler is going to have to be the great Jimmy Butler. He's going to have to go for 30, 35 every ball game. He's going to have to lead them. Tyler Hero is going to have to get hot, which I think he's going to get hot next game out because I think he's going to get the green light just to shoot the basketball. And this is going to be a hard scrap. I think game 4 is going to be a hard scrap.
Well, today was it was a strong game. And, they went in, the Miami Heat 115, the Lakers 104. And the Heat actually dominated. They imposed their will at the beginning of it. There was a time in the game, if I believe I'm correct, they were down. The Lakers were down almost 20 points.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. And then as the game went on, you got tremendous just contribution after contribution. You had Rondo putting in work. You had Kuzma putting in work. You had Markieff Morris putting in work. But who you didn't have putting in work was Anthony Davis. Now, yes, did LeBron get a double-double? Yes, he did. But I don't know what happened with Anthony Davis. Like, he just disappeared. Was it that they played defense on him, or maybe is he just tired and just said, hey, we'll give you game 3, and then we'll come back and get you in game 4.
They were just sloppy. I mean, they had 10 turnovers in the first quarter. I mean, they were just sloppy all over the place. They got out rebound. They got outscored the paint. I want to say it's like 52-34. That means nobody was going to work inside. AD wasn't going to work inside. I don't know if they were tired, if they didn't feel like it, if they were just going cruise control. I'm not sure. But however, though, this Jimmy Butler team has showed that they have the ability that if they think they can win, they will. And so you're looking at a team right now who's going to be on the belief the Lakers better come out firing this next game like they did game 1 and 2, or this series can get tied up. And if this series gets tied up, we can flip coins. We have seen LeBron go away in these games that really matter on the back end of these big series. He's lost more of these championships than he's won. He's been great about getting there, but finishing has been a whole nother different thing. They got to put their foot on Jimmy Butler and them and have them tap out, because if they don't, this is going to be a series if this thing gets tied up. So I think you just saw a lot. I don't know why they were so sloppy. I don't know. I don't know if it was just the pressure from Jimmy Butler and them. I think that might be in the situation. Maybe they're playing against guys they weren't used to seeing. That makes a big difference. You got guys out there on the floor, they play a little differently than what you expect. And I think maybe that's what it was. Maybe they look at the tape and they see things differently. But the Lakers just looked like they were never really in this ball game. And you saw by a couple of these big runs from Miami Heat that the Lakers weren't ready to play. And so I just don't know, is this a situation where the Lakers are just, we're going to win this anyway? Or is this a situation that the Miami Heat has found something? Something like this, they're going to put a little fly in the ointment. They figured out how to get to the Lakers, so we're going to see.
It's funny. We were just talking about that with the Bears. It was a lackadaisical game from LA, just as it was for the Chicago Bears. Just everybody was stuck in neutral. It really wasn't a game that you thought that you should have coming back and being efficient. But I am looking forward to what's going to happen in game 4. But let me ask you this real quick. And I know I'm going to throw this in out of left field. I'm just throwing it in.
Of course. Isn't that what SIZZLE does all the time?
Oh, yeah. From Waxahachie.
Yeah.
I throw one out and go, hey!
Yeah. Here you go.
Okay. So here's the fastball. Is Jimmy Butler in this Heat is he a better leader than, you ready for it? Dwayne Wade, and when he was the leader of the Heat?
Yeah, I want to say yes. I think this team takes on the persona of Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler has scared the league, literally. I think we was at the Timberwolves. I think he literally just scared the league. And I think I don't think really nobody really wants it with Jimmy. They really don't want it. Very seldom do you see somebody coming at Jimmy and they get Jimmy fired up, because Jimmy will come back and drop 40 on you. You know what I'm saying? So I think no, it's Dwayne Wade, taking nothing from Dwayne Wade. He's probably one of the better players that we've seen in the league. But also you saw Dwayne Wade on the back end of those Heat teams. He really wasn't the great Dwayne Wade. You know what I'm saying? He was still Dwayne Wade, but he wasn't, that guy. You actually start seeing him starting to diminish a little bit then. And I think they had to band together, that first super team, because Dwayne Wade wasn't going to win a championship without LeBron. You know what I'm saying? So, and then LeBron wasn't going to win one without him. And so, a lot of times they want to compare LeBron to Jordan, but we got to remember Pippen was homemade. LeBron was out getting teams that were tailor-made to win championships.
Yeah, and as a caveat, for those of you who say, well, he won a championship before LeBron, that was a championship with Gary Payton, Alonzo Mourning, and Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
I think White Chocolate was on that team. That team was full of all-stars and potential Hall of Fame and a Hall of Famer in Shaquille O'Neal.
Right. And
it was ridiculous.
Right. And that's why you look back, I'm going back to revisionist history right now, but you go back and look at those Chicago Bulls. When did they ever bring in a guy, except for Tony Kukoc, who was the best player in Europe at that point in time? Who did they bring in other than him that was a ringer?
Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, but not an offensive ringer. He was a rebounding guy.
No, but he was a Hall of Famer.
Right, but he's a Hall of Famer. But I mean,
nobody knew that was going to come, but it did.
Right,
he became a Hall of Famer.
He was an energy guy, but I'm saying he wasn't a guy who was going to go drop 30 on you. He wasn't a guy that's going to go a consistent 20, maybe a consistent 20 rebounds.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
he give you a 20 and 10.
Right.
It was 10 points and 20 rebounds.
But are we really going to put Dennis Rodman in the same breath as any of LeBron's top 3 teammates? No. Was he in the same breath as AD? Was he in the same breath as Chris Bosh? Was he in the same breath as Dwayne Wade? I mean, can you put Dennis Rodman's name in with any of those people that he's playing with right now? No.
Not Ray Allen. None of the ones that Miami, and even with the second Cleveland run, when they beat the Warriors, I think that was just out of attrition. They were able to win.
Yeah, they were down. That was a fluke. Literally a catastrophic failure, a system breakdown that they were able to come back because they were dead in the water, and for whatever reasons, they got it done. They'll get kudos. They came back and won it all. But I still think the Warriors in that situation thought they had that series won, and everybody had went to sleep and they were already celebrating.
So you know what it is. You know what we've got to do, Jay. Every time before we leave, we've got to leave the people with one of Jay's nuggets. So, Jay, leave the people with something hot.
Jay always like his nuggets hot.
You got to be careful. You don't want too hot nuggets. You don't want them on fire.
I'm going to tell you what, though. Anytime you get some hot nuggets, that's a good thing, man. But make sure they come straight out the cooker, because you don't want... Right. Because you don't want cold, dry, hot nuggets, because that don't work.
Yeah, you don't want burn nuggets either.
But now the burn nuggets, but you ever had the hot nuggets that's been sitting there for a while, and all of a sudden they become rocks? You don't want nuggety rocks or rockety nuts. You don't want that.
No, you don't. You really don't. And maybe that's what happened to the Chicago Bears. Maybe they were eating nuggety rocks or rock nuggets.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe their nuts were burned. I don't know.
Well, they got burned. Look, I'm going to tell you what. Here's the whole thing about that. I know we're getting ready to close. They ran up against a good defensive line and a really good offensive line, and they weren't prepared for it, and they got beat. And we're going to say, coming up this week, coming up against Tom Brady and the boys who believe if they come back and don't come back playing well, Tom's going to drop 40 on them.
Yeah. The sad part is you've already seen it. You've seen Tom put up 30, 31. Yeah, it could be bad. It could be real bad. But you know what could be really great is that if you're not following us, you can subscribe for free. You can then like what you subscribe to, and then you can share it with people. It's real easy. It's a simple thing. You can find us anywhere because we're at Skillet_sports. It's Iron Skillet Sports. That's where you find the hottest information from the SIZZLE Hot Money, Boyd's Noise. We've got new programming coming out. Listen, if you're not following the Sizzle, if you're not following Iron Skillet Sports, shame on you. You're a bad person. You're not a bad person. I just got a little excited.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. That's because you're a bad person if you don't do it.
You're a very bad person. So, hey, before we get ready to get out of here, I've always got to tell you, remember, this is election season. Make your voice be heard.
Yeah.
Go out and vote. If
Yeah.
you haven't registered, there's still time in whatever state you're in. Just go online and find out how to register, and you get out, make your voice heard. Go vote, and do the census. Vote. Go to the census. This is really important. I'm not playing. I'm really serious. This is a serious face. See, that was a serious face. That's how the serious face looks. Yeah, that was the real serious face. If you don't get out and vote, Jay Sizzle and I are going to come to your house and punch you in the face.
And you don't want to have it because we will eat all your spicy nuggets.
You doggone right. And then all your hot burn nuggets will throw right at you.
That's right.
Take that. You know what it is. You know who it is. It's G Sizzle in the building. It's Jay Sizzle in the building. We're getting ready to get out of here. But hey, remember, always be true to yourself. And remember, keep it sizzly.
Did you know that you can listen to Iron